All right, we're at lesson number 10. The title of our lesson is Joseph Makes Himself Known. Finally, Joseph is going to reveal to his brothers who he is. And that is what our lesson is going to be about today. Because one brother did the right thing, the whole family was saved. Because of one brother, there's 11 brothers all together. There's 12 boys all together. Because one of them did the right thing, he was able to save the whole family, you know. Aren't you glad that Jesus, one person, the only person that could do what needed to be done, he done the right thing. He done the right thing so that he could save the whole family, so that he could save us, you know. Because we think of how many chances did Jesus have to sin? How many temptations did he go through? How many times did he have to fight against the devil, put up his guards against the devil, you know, and be able to push him away and avoid the temptations and the trials, and not only from the devil, which all comes from the devil, but even his own people, which was backed by the devil. You know, and he had to put up his guards against them. He had to do the right thing, and just like Joseph did. How many times did Joseph was tempted down there in Egypt? You know, we've already studied how that Potiphar took him and brought him into the house, and then Potiphar's wife, you know, how she tried to seduce him and one thing and another. How many times, and it wasn't just one time. It says, I think we studied it, time after time she would try and seduce him and get him to do the wrong thing. But yet he put up his guards against it. And then being in prison. How many times do you think, I just might as well give up, you know? But, you know, he hung in there. And then the butler was put into the prison with him. And when he interpreted the dream of the butlers, and he told the butler, "Don't forget me," you know. And what was it? 2 years. That's almost 750. That's over 700 days, you know. How many times do you think, well, I might as well give up, you know? But Joseph hung in there. And finally, when the time comes, and you know, he could have went 699 days and then give up, you know. You know, how close he would have been, you know. Well, that's the same way we are, you know. We need to keep fighting the battle. You know, we never get a day off of fighting the battle. The devil's always after us, you know. He's either doing it himself, or he's having he's using somebody else to fight against us, you know. But no, Joseph hung on. He hung on. And finally one day they come calling for him. Hey, the king needs a dream interpreted. Okay, well, Joseph probably thought, okay, Lord, it's up to you. You know, he told Pharaoh, he says, it's nothing of me, but God's the interpreter of your dream. And so here he goes, and he tells him the dream. And then he's put at a high place, you know, Secretary of State or Secretary of Commerce or whatever you want to call it, and put there. And in control of a lot of things. But you know, he didn't take it that as, well, I've done this, and now the king has put me in control. No, he says, God done this, and God's put me here, and God's put me here for a purpose. And he always looked to God. I don't know what the purpose is, but God's put me here for a purpose. And you know, as he was married then, and I think had a couple of children, and the time came, 7 years. There was 7 years from the time he was put into control to the time that his brothers come down the first time. At least 7 years, because remember there was a 7-year famine, and maybe they had enough food for a year, you know, or whatever. But anyway, here they come, and not a single one of them recognized Joseph, but Joseph recognized every one of them, just like Jesus. We may not recognize Jesus when we're in sin, but Jesus recognizes us and knows exactly who we are and what we're doing and how we're doing it, and he knows everything about us. And here they come then, and now we're to that point there where Joseph was pretty stern with them. Put quite a little bit on their shoulders. And you know, Jesus does the same thing. He puts responsibility on our shoulders, and proves to us whether we can pass the test a lot of times. And because one brother done the right thing, it saved the family. Because Jesus done the right thing, he saved the world. And so we can be so thankful for that. If we can't be thankful for anything at all, we can be thankful for that. Amen. Even the sinner out there can be thankful for that, because there's a chance. There's a chance for him there. Joseph makes himself known. Our memory verse is Luke 6:37. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall be forgiven. Judge not, condemn not, but forgive. I wrote a little deal here. Do to others as you have done as you would have them do to you. You know, everybody wants good done to them. You know, no matter, you know. And then people that do good to people, you know, Jesus says here, forgive and ye shall be forgiven. You know, people look at other people and, well, why should I forgive them? They don't deserve it. Did I deserve salvation? No. Jesus forgave me. And you think I'm so great that I deserve salvation, or you deserve salvation? No, we did not deserve salvation. So that person that we might think, well, he doesn't deserve my forgiveness. Think about what Jesus did to us. Oh yeah, Jesus forgave me, and I was in no place of being of deserving that. So I need to forgive this person and go from there. And you know, and that's exactly what Joseph did. You know, if you look at the way a human person would look, these 10 brothers, there was 11 of them, but you know, Benjamin didn't have anything too much to do with it, so it was the other 10. Did they deserve the forgiveness that Joseph gave them? If you look at it through human eyes, you say, no, they didn't deserve it. They deserved every bad thing that they got. But you know, that's not the way Joseph looked at it. That is not the way Joseph looked at it. That's not the way Jesus looked at this old world. They deserve, Jesus could have said, well, they deserve everything that bad comes to them. Yeah, he could have said that. But no, he didn't. Why? L-O-V-E. All because of love. And Joseph, after all the nasty things that was done to him, what did he have? He had love in his heart. It shows in here. It might not say it word for word in the scriptures, but you can see it. A Christian can definitely see and can experience and can know. Now, people out in the world, it's hard for them to see that, but we as Christians, we can see that even though all the nasty things that they done to him, put him in a pit, sold him to the Ishmaelites, took things that was not true to their father, put the father through all the things that they did. Did they deserve love? Did they deserve the forgiveness of Joseph? We might not think he did, but yes, they got that love. It's not that they deserve it, but it's that we give them the love and forgiveness that we should give to people that way. Okay, Judah has already pleaded for Benjamin here. Let me read the emphasis. I'm going to read both emphases here. It's kind of a repeat, but yet there is some things in both of them. The adult emphasis: the brother have bowed before Joseph. His dreams has been fulfilled. Joseph still loves his family very much. And we can say very, very, very much. We could say that. He sees that they have learned their lesson. It is time to make himself known to them. He forgives them of all wrongdoings. How can he forgive them of all the wrongdoings? Love. Love's what it is. He sends them to get their father. They will have to explain a lot to Jacob. Can you imagine the boys after, and I'll probably bring that out a little later, after they find out that Joseph's alive? Now we got to go tell father. What's that?
Tell them what they did.
And we'll have to tell what we did.
Yeah.
We have to face it. We have to face up to it. Because we didn't think we'd see him again. Here he is. Okay, the junior emphasis was: after the brothers confessed their sins, Joseph tells them who he is and forgives them. Let's use Joseph as an example in our own lives. That's a good example to live by. When temptations come, shun them away. Stay away from them. When people do hurtful things to you, love them. Love them. Do it anyway. And forgive them. That's what he did. He sends them back to Canaan to bring their father and their families to Egypt. And so Joseph is probably anxious to see his father. Anxious, is that the word? He's looking forward to seeing his father. He's looking forward and seeing the wives of his brothers, his sister-in-laws, and their children. Because, man, there's probably been a lot of children that's been born that he hasn't even seen, and so he's anxious to see them. He's looking forward to seeing them. Okay, we'll go ahead and start reading here. Genesis 45:1. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried. He caused every man to go out from me. Or that's what he said. Caused every man to go out. And there stood no man with him while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren, unto his brothers. So it's just more or less him and his brothers that was there. And remember, there's 11 of them there now. All 11 of them are there. And then him being the 12th one. So all of them are together. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live? And his brothers could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. Joseph. He says he's Joseph. What's the proof of that? He don't look like Joseph. Well, if I remember right, he said each one of us in order birth-wise the last time we were there. He seems like he does know quite a bit about us. That must be Joseph. They were speechless. All that was running through their mind and they couldn't even speak, because they were so speechless. They couldn't even answer him when they asked him, is his father still alive? They couldn't even answer him for a little bit. Verse 4, and Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourself. Be not angry with yourself, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. Do not be angry at yourself. Boy, that would take a lot of love. How many years has it been? How many years has it been? I think he was about 17. And, his 7 and probably 2, 9, and then all the time that he spent in Potiphar's house, it's probably been 15, 20 or more years. It's been a long time, and some people would let that eat on their conscience or eat on them to get back at their brothers, But what did Joseph say? God's the one that put me here, not you guys. You guys didn't do this. God put me here to preserve what? To preserve life. Isn't that what God told Jesus? Go down to that old earth and preserve life. Kind of the same thing, isn't it? It's kind of the same thing. And yet he took he wanted the blame to be taken off from there. While Judah made his plea to Joseph, kept still. While Judah made his plea to Joseph kept still. How he could keep still no longer. Now he could not stay still any longer. He had to tell them who he was. Remember, they accused Benjamin. If you remember, that was where they were at. Benjamin was being accused. And Judah had stood up for Benjamin and told him. And now it's got Joseph, it broke him down kind of to where he couldn't keep the secret any longer there. Now he could keep still no longer. He sent everyone else out. Anybody that wasn't a brother, he sent them out. And then he broke down and wept aloud. The Egyptians heard him. Were they listening at the door to see what Joseph would answer to Judah? Do you reckon that might be what they do? Okay, the judgment's going to come down on them. Let's hear through the door what the judgment's going to be. That may be something. That may be what they say. We don't know for sure. But he says, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live? How he loved his father. How? Because that's the first one he asked about was his father. How he loved his father. And remember, his father, did he care much for him? Remember, he gave him a coat of many colors, and so, the father really loved Joseph too, There was the love flowed both ways. The brothers couldn't even speak. They were afraid. They had sinned against Joseph. We still have sinned against this very man right here, which is our brother. What's he going to do to us now? That may be what they might have thought. Would he punish them now? Joseph called them near to him and told them again who he was. He was not weeping because of sorrow, but rather because of joy. His brothers had repented. It was a joyful reunion on Joseph's part. And the brothers, I don't know if it was real joyful. are I think they were perplexed and didn't know what was going to happen next. But Joseph was there to help them. Joseph was there and had no animosity against them, no get back, punch back. Now I'm in power, I can do whatever I want to. Nothing like that. He had love for his family there. I'm going to read verses 6 through 8 there. It's not in your quarterly, but I'm going to read it anyway there. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land. This is what Joseph's telling his brother. And yet there are 5 more years in which there will neither be earing nor harvest. Again, he's telling the future here. God had already relayed the interpretation of Pharaoh's dream, and now he's relaying this to the brothers. So we got 5 more years of famine. You might think these 2 years has been tough. Well, we got 5 more years yet to go. He's telling these brothers. And he goes on and says, and God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity. Okay. What that is all the descendants. That's what he's talking about in the earth. And to save your lives by a great deliverance. In other words, the next step was, he's told the future, but now he's saying that God sent him here to preserve the descendants that are left there. And then verse 8, so now it was not you that sent me hither, but God, and he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, or an advisor, and the Lord of his house, and a ruler there throughout all the land of Egypt. He took the blame off his brothers, is what he did there. And, he was trying to make it just as easy as he could. He's trying to show them that his love is really real. It's not that I'm going to get back at you, but my love is really real. And, we sometimes have to do that, But, we don't want to disguise that love as being really real and it really not be there. You have to have the love of God to be able to do that. Now the commentator has explained this. Joseph's forgiveness of his brothers. Joseph told them not to feel bad for what they had done to him. He said, God sent me to Egypt to save their lives. Yes, he did. God can always use what we do to bring about what he wants. And God uses that. Even through sinners sometimes. He'll do some things. He'll do the things to accomplish his will in that. However, they had sinned just the same in selling Joseph. But Joseph forgave them. He held no feeling in his heart against them. He did not want to punish them. This was right. Jesus said, we must forgive others or we will not be forgiven. Matthew 6, 14 and 15. For if we forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. So it's up to us. It's up to us on that. Do we forgive other men? Then we can be forgiven of God. If we don't forgive other men, then we're in trouble. We have to. That's a requirement that we have to do. Joseph had been greatly wronged, sold into slavery by his own brothers, yet he held no bitterness in his heart towards them. All the years that he put up with in there, how many times do you think Why am I way down here? I don't know why I'm way down here, but anyway, I'm going to do what God tells me to do. How many times do you think he was ready to give up sometimes? But no, he hung on to God. He forgave them before they even asked. He wished them to have no fear or sorrow or regret, anger with themselves. He counted it a blessing to be used of God to preserve their lives. You know, we can count every day a blessing that God has given us. Each and every day, we can count it as a blessing that God's given it. Mercy God has given us. Grace that God has given us. We can count it as blessing. His forgiveness was complete and from the heart, not in words only. We want this kind of forgiveness from God, don't we? Isn't that the kind of forgiveness we want? Not just word forgiveness, but heartfelt forgiveness. Well, that's the kind we need to give out then. It's not just word, oh, I forgive you, and then the next day you think, well, I don't know why he done that, but you know, forgiveness from the heart. That's what we want. That's what we should give when people do us wrong. We want this kind of forgiveness from God. We must have this type forgiveness for others if we are to receive it from God. We have to have that kind of forgiveness if we want to receive that forgiveness from God. If we forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Nevertheless, you shall be cast into hell if ye from the hearts forgive not every one his brother their trespasses. Okay, we'll go to the reading, verse 9 there. Haste ye, and go up to my father. This is Joseph talking to his brother. And say unto him, Thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. In other words, hurry up. Hurry up, do it right now. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and their flocks, and thy herds, and all that thou hast. I'm going to read verses 11, 12, and 13 there. And there will I nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast come to poverty. And behold, your eyes sees, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaketh unto you. And ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that ye have seen, and ye shall hasten bring down my father hither. Verse 14, it's in your quarterly there, I think. And he fell upon his brother's Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brothers and wept upon them, and after that his brothers talked with him. Jacob is invited to Egypt. Jacob, their father. Joseph's inviting his father and all the family. Come on down here. There's 5 more years of famine. Come on down here. And that's what he's telling them. Joseph told his brothers to go home and tell their father they had found Joseph. That's going to be hard to do. That's going to be hard to do. After this many years, and not a single one of the boys let it out to their father what really happened. All 10 of them kept that secret, didn't they, for this many years? All 10 of them. 10 hearts with a conscience like that, But yet they kept the secret, And see, now Joseph's telling them, go back, tell your father You found Joseph. You found me. And come on down. They shall bring their father and their whole family to Egypt. They shall bring their animals and all that they had. He would care for them and give them what they needed. There would be 5 more years of famine. You know, as we looked at Joseph as Jesus, you know, he wants us to dwell with him. Come down here and dwell with me, and I will take care of you. That's what Jesus says. That's what Joseph told his brothers and his father. Come down, I'll take care of you. You'll be taken care of. Jesus does the same thing. Come, I will take care of you. You don't have any worries. You don't have any worries because you got me to look to. We worry, or I do. I won't put that on everybody, but I worry lots of times, sometimes about it. But you know, sometimes I just have to break down and say, Lord, it's in your hands. Yeah. And Lord, help me to be able to leave it in your hands. That's sometimes what I have to pray sometimes. Help me to be able to trust you, Lord. And you know, I can get up and I can feel a lot better then. And you know, if that's what it takes, sometimes we have to come to that point. We have to come to that point some time or another. I have to leave it in God's hands and say, Lord, I know in my head that you're going to take care of it. Help me to be able to take it to my heart that you can take care of certain situations. And you know, we just have to sometimes just melt down completely like that and to be able to do that. Then Joseph fell upon his brother's Benjamin's neck and wept. And Benjamin wept upon his neck. He kissed all of his brothers and wept. Surely now they knew that Joseph loved them. His brothers were not afraid now. They sat and talked together. What a day it was, beginning in fear and sorrow, ending in love and joy. Ending in love and joy. What was their attitude toward Joseph? Did they love Joseph? I can't answer that. I'm sure they did. But you know, look what they done before to him, you know. Now, Joseph to the Benjamin. Did Joseph love Benjamin? Yes, we knew that. We know that. Did Joseph love his brothers? Now remember what they done to him. Did Joseph love his brothers? Absolutely yes. Yeah, absolutely yes. He still loved them. Why? Because he said God was the one that put me down here. God used you to put me down here, is what he did, what he's more or less said. And now the fulfillment of everything has come forth. And yes, Joseph loved Benjamin. He loved his other brothers too that done him wrong. What about us? Do we love people that do us wrong? You know, that's a question that only you can answer yourself. Do we love people that do us wrong? It's not easy. It's not easy. But you know, we can't do it. We can't muster it up on our own. We have to have the love of God in our heart to be able to do that. Okay, verse 16. And the famine thereof was heard in I'm really messing that up. And the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brothers are come. And it pleased Pharaoh well, and his servants. Okay, now we're missing some verses there, and I'm going to go ahead and try and read through them. It's quite a lengthy reading there, but I'm going to go ahead and read through the rest of the verses there, and see what we can get out of them. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Say unto thy brethren, this do ye, lade your beast and go and get you into the land of Canaan. And take your father and your households and come unto me. I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and ye shall eat the fat of the land. Now thou art commanded, this do ye. Take you wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father and come. In other words, Pharaoh's gathering up these wagons to be able to haul all their stuff down. Then they're going to make a big move is what he's going. And Pharaoh's right behind it. Pharaoh's right in with Joseph on this and all. Also, regard not your stuff, for the good of all the land of Egypt is yours. And the children of Israel did so. And Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provisions for the way. To all of them he gave each man changes of raiment. But to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. Another little test, I think, is what it did. And to his father he sent after his manner 10 asses laden with the good things of Egypt, and 10 she-asses laden with corn and bread and meat for his fathers by the way. So he sent his brothers away, and they departed, and he said unto them, see that ye fall not out by the way. In other words, go all the way back. And they went up out of Egypt and came into the land of Canaan unto Jacob, their father. Came unto the land of Canaan unto Jacob, their father. That is verse 25. I'm going to stop right there just a little bit. Was it altogether happy? Did perhaps the brothers wonder how to explain their father their part in Joseph being in Egypt? That's some questions that's going through their mind. Or how might he punish them when they told him the news that Joseph still lived and ruled in Egypt and sent for him? Jacob could not believe it. Jacob could not believe it. Okay, now let's go ahead and read that. But that's some of the questions that was burning on their minds. Now that the truth is there, now that the truth is out, how are we going to explain this to Father? And the thing of it is, when a mess is made like that, admit to it. Admit it. Don't try to blame someone else. How come you didn't do your homework? Well, the dog ate it. Yeah. My sister ran off with it. Wadded it up. Always blaming somebody else. I was guilty of that. When I was a child, I was guilty. I wanted to put the blame somewhere else. And it didn't matter whether it was the sisters or whether it was an animal, or whatever, But the best thing to do, take what's coming to you. And that's what they were doing. Verse 26, and told him, saying, this is the brothers telling Jacob, Joseph is yet alive, and he is governor over all the land of Egypt. And Jacob, the father's heart fainted, for he believed them not. Joseph's alive in Egypt? That's what Jacob could have said. And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons, which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob, their father, revived. Wow, that must be right. Or why is all these wagons? Why is this big old caravan of wagons, And so that's what's facing them now. Pharaoh's invitation. Someone told Pharaoh that Joseph's brethren had come. We don't know who told him, but it don't make any difference there. Anyway, Pharaoh found out about it. How did Pharaoh take the news? He was glad. He was glad. He told Joseph to bring his father and all his family to Egypt. They should have the good of the land. This portion of land out here called Goshen, that'd be a good place for them. That's probably what Pharaoh told Joseph. That'd be a good place for him to use that land out there. That'd be just wonderful to do that. And he was all behind it and happy for Joseph. He said to take wagons from Egypt to bring them down. Well, we'll even help them, by sending wagons up there. And of course they had to have some kind of an animal to pull them. And no doubt they probably gave them that too. And here they come. Sending the brothers home, Joseph gave his brothers wagons, food, and new clothing. To Benjamin he gave more, 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. In addition, he sent gifts to his father and food for him to use on the way back to Egypt. Jacob heard the good news. When the brothers reached home, what a story they had to tell. What a story they had to tell. It was written there, what a story they had to tell, but what a story they had to tell. I hope you can get the expression there. Joseph is yet alive. He is governor. What? I thought that coat bore a lot of blood on it, and I was sure that was Joseph's blood. How can he be alive? Well, it wasn't Joseph's blood, and it was his coat, but it wasn't his blood, but Joseph was alive, and their sins just caught up with them. That's one good thing. That's one thing that we can be assured of. We might get away with sin down here and from other people, but sin, if it's not taken care of down here, it will be found out up there. And it'll be too late then. That's the bad thing about that. It'll be too late then. Joseph is yet alive. He is governor. Jacob could not believe it at first. However, the wagons Joseph sent, he could see and touch. Then he believed and made ready to go see Joseph. It was good to have this joy after years of grief. In addition, the brothers, did they confess their sin of selling Joseph? I'm sure they probably eventually had to confess that and all. Joseph, a type of Christ. Joseph, one thing, he was wronged by his brothers. Well, think about it. Jesus was wronged by his own people. He was wronged by his own people. John 1:11 says, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. So, there's a big similarity between the two there. Joseph, he loved them. Jesus, he loved them. He loved us. Romans 5:8 says, but God commended his love towards us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. We didn't have to get straightened up and right before Jesus could love us. That would have been an impossibility. That would have been an impossibility to get straightened out and right before Jesus could love us. That didn't happen. Jesus loved us the way we were. And same as Joseph loved his brothers the way they were and had love for them. 3, he forgave them. Jesus forgave us also. 1 John 1:9, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. He's not going to leave a little bit of righteousness or unrighteousness in us just to show us what it's like. Well, we know what it's like, and it ain't good. I know that's not proper grammar, but it's not good. And, Jesus cannot dwell where there's any unrighteousness at all. So that's the reason why he cleans us out completely then. 4, he came into the world. Nope. 4, he went into Egypt to save their lives. Jesus came into the world to save souls. Joseph saved lives. Jesus saves souls. 1 Timothy 1:15. This is a faithful saying and worthy of all acceptation, that Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am chief. This was Paul writing that, and writing to Timothy. Number 5, he gave them a home where he was. Jesus will take us to our eternal home with him. John 14:3. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And number 6, they were provided for. Jesus will provide for us also. John 14:13, it says, and whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. That the Father be glorified in the Son. It is doubtful if all history, written or unwritten, contains another such story as this. This was quite a story, and this is probably one of the more thorough biographies of a person's life than any probably in the Bible. I'm thinking that. You might come up with another one, but this is a very thorough biography. For a foreigner, slave, prisoner to immediately and directly be raised to a position of such great power and trust is strange indeed. It is ideal and could never have been except for the perfect coinciding of a number of occurrences. It could never have come about except by the work of God. God works, and God knows exactly what time things need to take place. We get in a hurry, or we want to put off, but in God's time, that's the best time. He caused a chain of events. How was he able to accomplish it? Only because even when all looked hopeless, his servant Joseph trusted him and obeyed him. God went to extremes in it, holding back nothing. If we will trust and obey God, God will work miraculously in our lives also. He's promised that. He has promised that. And so, all we got to do is trust in him. Let's go to our memory verse then. And our memory verse is, judge not that ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive. Now, he didn't put the not on that one, but he says, forgive, and ye shall be forgiven. Now Joseph knew his brothers had repented of their sin against him. He told them he was Joseph. They were afraid. Would he punish them? That was probably running through their mind. Will he punish us? Perhaps he should have. But Joseph forgave them, invited them to live in Egypt, and gave them all they needed. God does this to all of us when we repent of sin and yield fully unto him, only in a greater way than Joseph did. Only in a greater way than Joseph did. And, God God was behind all this that happened in Joseph's life. Jesus was the kind of the one that portrayed that life then when he came to earth then. And you know, Joseph was a very good example of what real love really is. And I often think of Joseph and how everything he done, he always put God first. And he always seemed encouraged. Now, I know he had down times. I know there was times that he was probably down and wondering, why in the world am I down here? You know. But he always kept God in his sights. And that's what kept him going. All right, one more. Our theme, don't be afraid to trust an unknown future to an all-knowing God. Amen.